So we've got a bit of an odd mission today. Basically, I'm going to take off from Redhill. I'm going to track easterly. I'm not really going to change heading at all for 4 hours, and then I'm going to land. Stay tuned to find out where I end up. One of the downsides of my aircraft being parked a little way across the grass here is that I always get wet feet. And I don't want wet feet for 4 hours, so I've got the shoes trying to dry in the sun on the wing before departure, and I've hung my socks up here out of the storm window to see if I can get them dry before we go. And I'm sitting here barefoot in the cockpit. Here we go then. Clear prop. Another epic journey. Beautiful day for it.
Good luck in the Victor, moment 06, at the moment 0 degrees, 7 knots, clear takeoff.
Clear takeoff, runway 06, Golf Victor. Brakes and gear up. Okay, accelerating and flaps coming up. And we are going to hold this heading for 4 hours. I'll go into detail about that in a minute, but that's just quite extraordinary really, that you just take off, point the aeroplane on the runway heading and land somewhere 4 hours later.
Golf India Victor, basic service, QNH1010, squawk 4575.
Basic service, QNH 1010, squawk 4575, Golf India Victor. So what are we doing today? Well, I was kind of just looking for ideas of things to do, and then I've kind of turned this into a bit of a business trip as well. And I was looking at, where I could go, where I could, do a long leg. I'm still sort of training for my kind of Atlantic crossings, need to do some long flights. I enjoy the proper touring as opposed to the local flying. And I kind of thought, well look, what if I head east and I did that for 4 hours, where would I end up? It turns out 4 hours exactly due east is Berlin. And I thought, I like Berlin, I've been there a couple of times before, why don't we go and have a look at Berlin? And there's an airfield called Schönhagen, Echo Delta Alpha Zulu, and that's to the west of Berlin. That is where we're going.
Golf India Victor, traffic crossing a mile and a half ahead of you, left, right, indicating a similar level to PA28.
Roger, traffic in sight and climbing now, altitude 5,300 feet. To mentally acclimatise myself to extended crossings over water, today my easterly track takes me on a 100-mile leg over the North Sea, just to the north of the Strait of Dover. The entire trip to Berlin is 500 nautical miles, and that's a fairly significant milestone. So we're scooting along the North Kent coast, and we'll soon be out of sight of the land. And what's interesting about 500 miles and why that's important, 500 miles is pretty much from the north of Scotland to Iceland, and that will be one of the first major sea crossings that I'll have to do. And so this 500-mile trip, 4 hours as it is today, is pretty typical of the kind of leg that I will need to do to get over to America and Canada and Greenland and everything. So this is pretty much as high as we can do this because of the Class A over at Amsterdam, which is at flight level 55. Got Costa in next, have we got that? Now there's a warning of some GPS disruption today, which is why it's important to have a plug, because I might have to revert to old school navigation. I've also had a look at the VOR DMEs along the route, and I should be tuning those as we go along as backups. They don't correspond exactly to the route, but they'll be able to allow me to position fix. We can still see Kent behind us. We're out of gliding range of land now. T's and P's are good.
Golf India Victor, you're on the edge of my coverage now, so squawk on security, and I suggest land information 124.6. Have a good day.
124.6, squawk on security, good day, Golf India Victor.
Number 3, stand by.
Actually, do you know what? I'm going to go straight to Amsterdam. We're literally not. We're minutes from it, really. What's our ETA? 38. We're only 6 minutes from it. So we better talk to them. 128.5.
November uniform anticipation pass message.
VFR Hilsum, at 1000 feet to POV.
Amsterdam information, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, Amsterdam, good day.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, PA28 Arrow, departed Echo Golf Kilo Romeo, destination Echo Delta Alpha Zulu, 9 miles west of Guilty, Golf India Lima Tango India, VFR flight level 053, 1 POB.
Roger, Golf India Victor, identified ready, flight level 53, flight information service.
Flight information service, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor.
What will be your approximate routing, Golf India Victor?
Continuing on a 085 track, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor.
Golf India Victor, Roger.
We are out of sight of the land, and that's what it's going to feel like crossing the Atlantic, isn't it? There is nothing out there to see apart from ships, but then you would aim for a ship, wouldn't you, if you had a problem? I hope when I come to do the Atlantic the weather's as nice as this, but I suspect it will be a bit mixed. Now, I did the France and Spain trips last month, and it was interesting actually, because there were a few things that affected my fatigue and comfort levels on the flight that you wouldn't automatically think. And the air up here is quite dry. That's how I find it anyway. It certainly is. It certainly was when I was travelling Spain and France. It is up here today, I can sense it, and it dries out your nose, and then your nose starts to hurt. And so it's those little things you don't think of. And one of my viewers got in touch and said, well, get some sort of saline spray that we use it on for our children. Use some saline spray, and you just pop it up your nose. Hopefully I won't die. And it just moisturises the lining of the nostrils. And it's so much more comfortable. It's so refreshing. I've also got some. The other thing I had my eyes hurt as well, probably for the same reason. And I've got some of this Optrex Acti-Mist dehydrating and protecting eye spray, which you just spray on your eyelids basically. I won't use that just yet. So it's these little things that you don't think about. Obviously there are big things to worry about, like ditching in the sea, you know, GPS navigation, radio communications, just general fatigue and tiredness, but actually these little things are worth thinking about too. If you didn't see that video, I went down to Cannes on the south of France, then over to Zaragoza in Spain. I popped a link up the top here where you can go and watch those videos, and we talk about, you know, the other big sort of taboo, you know, going to the toilet when you're in a small confined cockpit, and it's not easy to kind of manoeuvre yourself in a cockpit like this to use a bottle, but we did prove that that was possible. And my viewers have been in touch also. One of them is a doctor and said, you know, there's this sort of condom type thing that you can buy. It's a medical device. You slip it on, it's got adhesive on it, creates a tight seal, and then it's got a tube, and then you can attach a bag to your leg, which is pretty jolly useful by the sounds of it. So I got in touch with the company. I don't know if this device will do the trick, we shall see. But the rather embarrassing thing is, obviously they need to know the size. And so, rather insultingly, they sent me a little size chart. And I had to get the chart out, and you can imagine. And I was rather disappointed where I came on the chart, if I'm perfectly honest with you. So I've given them my size, which is just embarrassing that you're telling someone the circumference of your private parts. And they're sending a sample in the post. So in an upcoming video, I will no doubt try that and share the results with you.
I've made a bonus video on the subject. I promise you it's not X-rated. It's available to watch now on my Patreon page. The link is on the screen and in the video description.
Well, that looks like the super highway of the shipping lanes over there, doesn't it? They're all packed into a little tight gaggle over there. There's one of those little World War II forts, look down there. Right in the middle of the North Sea. I know we have some of them in the Thames, but I didn't think there were any existing out here. Okay, so we're coming in on the Amsterdam coastline now, and it's a relief to be back in range. And of course, no dramas. Golf Indy Victor.
Advise contact Rotterdam approach for further, 122.990.
122.990 Golf Bravo Mike India Victor. Rotterdam approach, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, Rotterdam approach.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, PA28, Echo Golf Kilo Romeo, destination Echo Delta Alpha Zulu, coasting in at Berghamstade, flight level 053, VFR 1POB.
Golf India Victor, Roger, flight information, the QNH is 1013, and what are your intentions to cross the TMA?
QNH 1013, my intentions are to maintain flight level 053 and routing on an easterly track. Golf Bravo Mike India Victor.
Roger, continue.
Golf India Victor. There's Class E airspace here, so it's if you're VFR you don't need to talk to them, but it's advisable that you do. You need a clearance if you're IFR. Stretch the legs. The hip was quite uncomfortable after the last long distance flying I did. In fact, I was in agony actually. All my muscles ached. This was like 2 or 3 days after I'd come back. You know, I've been in the cockpit for 3 days at 4+ hours each day. Yeah, it was. I could barely. I kneeled down to pick up something and I couldn't get back up again. It had seized up, and that was from being in the cockpit for 3 days. So, yeah, something to bear in mind. Again, you know, it's these little things. That's why I'm doing this. It's to shake down what this is really going to be like. Do I really, really want to do this? And a lot of people have said to me, you know, there are far better adventures that you can have. Why would you put yourself at risk doing a transatlantic crossing? Well, because it's a challenge, because it's a feat. That's why. It's like
Romeo is leaving your frequency for
so few people do it. I mean, I know it's kind of a well-trodden path now, and it's you know, people do it, but it's the pleasure of doing something new and different. And I just, you know, and to take my own plane over there, you know, that's the beauty of flying. It's not local flying, it's going places with your aeroplane. It's that pleasure of landing in Iceland and Greenland and Canada, in the US, and thinking to yourself, I flew myself here. And that's just such a wonderful, wonderful feeling, and that's why I want to do it. And as I've said before, it might not happen. You know, maybe I will discover that it's too much for me, but I want to give it a go. Still on the same heading as we left Redhill.
I may have some aches and pains from spending too long sitting in this less than luxurious cockpit, but I'm far from ready to hang up my headset. But by the way the CAA is going at the moment, maybe that's exactly what they want. People my age in the UK are often now being made to conduct treadmill heart stress tests by their aeromedical examiners in order to revalidate their Class 2 medicals on advice from the regulator. AOPA UK has recently been meeting with the Chief Medical Officer at the CAA to ask them to take an evidence-based, proportionate approach to these things. We'll see how they get on with that. I'm a member of AOPA UK for exactly this reason. They need our support so that they can help us secure our freedoms to continue flying. Join AOPA UK today.
I've had to notify Schönhagen quite some time in advance, more than 48 hours in advance, if I wanted to have border control there. So if I wanted, you know, because I'm doing a non-stop flight, I need border control there. I can't, you know, I could stop at Le Touquet or Calais or something, or Ostend, clear customs there, and then I wouldn't need them at Schönhagen. But because of, I wanted to do this as a non-stop flight, more efficient, isn't it, that way? I had to give them 48 hours notice, but the forecasts were pretty good for the weather, so I was pretty confident we'd get there.
Golf India Victor.
Golf India Victor.
Time to say goodbye. Come up next sector, please. 132650. Take care.
Roger, 132650. Good day, Golf India Victor.
Same to you, bye-bye.
I'm going to show you my approach into Schönhagen in just a second. I'll try not to edit it down too much so you can follow along. Touring long distance like this, getting yourself to far-flung places is fantastic fun, but it can be a bit daunting, I know, for people who haven't done it before. I was at Private Flyer Fest at Wickham Air Park just the other weekend. Thank you to all of you who came along to say hello whilst I was emceeing on the live lounge stage. Among the talks I facilitated was one with Philippe and Robbie from Echelon Air. They're a Cirrus training centre at Biggin Hill near London. Philippe and Robbie have extensive experience flying themselves and their students all over the world. In fact, a lot of their training with their private pilot students occurs outside of the UK, giving them the confidence to fly across Europe, even from day one, for example. They gave an enlightening presentation on the inspirational destinations you can fly to with your PPL, as well as sharing their tips and tricks for safe and fun touring. If you're looking for bespoke flight training that's far from the sausage factory you find at many flying schools, give the team at Echelon a call.
So I have had to do a little dogleg here coming off my 080 track in order to join the circuit, because you have to join the circuit from the south, so you'll have to forgive me for coming off my track for that purpose. Golf India Victor, request frequency change, Schönhagen, information 131.155.
Golf India Victor, squawk 7000, approved to leave, bye-bye.
Golf India Victor.
Vor die Piste 07 in Betrieb und das QNH 1015. Piste 07, QNH 1015, November.
Schönhagen Airfield has a flight information service which can communicate in English, but most of the time when talking to local pilots it's all in German, and that makes building up situational awareness pretty tricky. In France I can understand most of the French RT, but I have no German language skills at all. Thankfully, a combination of Sky Demon, Pilot Aware and ADS-B equipped aircraft over here is helping me out.
Schönhagen information, Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, 6 miles south, inbound, request airfield information.
Golf Bravo Mike India Victor, runway 07, induce QNH 1015, and traffic in the circuit.
07, QNH 1015, Golf India Victor.
Delta Mike India Golf Victor hat
I'm going to get the gear down and just to get us into flap speed quickly.
Nach Riesa Echo Delta Alpha Uniform, bitte volle Information. Die Piste 07 in Betrieb und das QNH 1015. In Betrieb die Piste 07, QNH 1015, Delta Golf Victor, Roll halt Piste 07.
Delta Alpha Uniform, gegen Kehranflug, rechter Kehranflug, Piste 07.
Level 060 Grad, 8 Knoten. Information, Delta Echo Sierra Sierra Lima.
Delta Echo Bravo.
Brakes, undercarriage down, mixture, fuel, landing light, doors, carve heat, we don't have direction indicator. Try and get in ahead of this other one.
Information, Delta Echo Sierra Sierra Lima.
So there's an aircraft on the crosswind, as you can see. I'm keeping the speed up so that I can join on the downwind leg ahead of them. The normal procedure is to join midpoint downwind here.
Golf India Victor, right hand downwind, runway 07 to land.
Copy. Delta Echo Sierra Romeo Alpha, Schönhagen.
Und die Delta Mike Sierra rollt zur Halle Oscar und wendet hier einmal.
Reds Blues 3 Grains.
Position Luckenwalde, 4 Minuten, 3 Minuten vom Platz entfernt, auf 1500 Fuß. Standby, please. Schönhagen Information, Delta Echo Golf, Juliet Tango, hallo. Standby, please.
Golf India Victor, final runway 07 to land.
Wind 060 degrees, 9 knots.
Landing runway 07, Golf India Victor.
Delta Sierra India, rechts quer zu 07.
Delta Golf Victor, Rollhalt Alpha, Piste 07, Abflug bereit. Standby. Der Wind 050 Grad, 8 Knoten.
Die Delta Aerodrome Taco verlässt die Platzrunde auf 2000 Fuß in Richtung Öna.
Well, my landing was a little bit ropey, a bit flat. I think that's something that you do after a long flight, kind of not really in the zone.
Not one of my best, but it's a lovely late afternoon here in Germany, and superb facilities here by the looks of it. I've now got to go over and see the federal police. So I've spoken to the police, they've stamped my passport, and we've got a restaurant here upstairs. I've just had a quick look at that. They're obviously very proud of their airfield, aren't they? You know, it's not some ramshackle thing, it's very well looked after. They spend money on it. I used the app to drive app to hire a car from the airport, drove the 50 minutes into the western side of the city where my hotel was, and then I got the public transport into the centre just as the sun began to set. It's really warm here. I've come out without my coat on. Probably going to regret that later when I'm walking back when the sun goes down. Found the bus stop. There's a bus due here in 5 minutes, and it's about 15 minutes to the centre of Berlin. So we'll hop on there and see how we get on. I'm not particularly good with buses, especially in foreign countries, but we'll see how we do. I didn't have very much time to spend sightseeing in the city, but I was keen to get to the Brandenburg Gate for sunset. And as I walked towards the monument, I found a somewhat party atmosphere. The rare spring sunshine and warmth had led to a congregation of locals and tourists alike. Oh, I'm now regretting only making this a quick overnight stop. I wish I was here for longer and not here just for one night, and I wish I brought the family, because it would have been nice to have had some time to sort of enjoy walking around Berlin. And I've been here before, but quite some time ago now. Nice to be back though. The Brandenburg Gate is the city's most famous landmark. When Berlin was divided east and west, the monument was in the restricted zone between them. After the fall of the wall in 1989, the gate became a symbol of peace and unity. I'm glad I was able to return here this evening. Well, that's enough of that. Let's go and find something to eat, and maybe a beer as well. I think we might have earned it, don't you? On my way back, India Victor's engine has a wobble, and I'm forced to admit that many of you were right all along. The video comes out in a fortnight, but is available to watch now on Patreon.